Court TV Live in Colorado. Testimony is underway in the stepmother murder trial for Letecia Stauch. She's accused of killing her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon, while the child's father was deployed with the National Guard. Stauch has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. On the stand now is Stauch's adult daughter, Harley Hunt, rather. Let's get you into court for her testimony.
How old was Gannon when that happened? Do you remember?
He was really young, 4 or 5.
And Lena was even younger than that, I would imagine. You remember how old Lena was?
Like 2 maybe or so.
And so did you also have a relationship with Lena?
Yes, I did.
Was she like a sister to you?
Yes.
And was Gannon like a brother to you?
Yes.
Although there's an age difference, especially probably when you got into your teenage years, right?
Correct.
I would imagine they may have been a little annoying for you a little bit.
Yes.
Is that fair to say? Okay. What about your mom's relationship with Gannon over the years? Can you start out perhaps when Albert and your mom got married? How was that relationship between Gannon and your mom?
Yeah, so it was different at first because we were like a blended family. So we were just getting used to, you know, more people in our life. They had an okay relationship. There were problems here and there, but.
Was there a point in time when Albert and your mom first got married where Albert didn't have custody of the kids?
Yes.
And were things a little easier when the kids weren't around?
I wouldn't say easier. Having to go back and forth between, you know, the weekends and everything with them were difficult because, you know, Albert, of course, wanted his kids full time with him. So I just remember there being like a lot of problems with that. But
At some point, did Albert get custody of both Lena and Gannon?
yes.
And were they living with you all more of a full-time basis?
Yes.
And did you observe the relationship between everyone at that time?
Yes.
Did it seem to be, for lack of a better term, a normal family situation?
Yes.
Okay. What about your relationship with Albert? How'd that go?
We had a good relationship. You know, when Albert first came in, it's when my dad passed away. So, you know, that was difficult for me at first because I didn't want like my father to feel replaced. That's how I felt like in my heart. But as time grew, we got closer.
What was your father's name?
Chance.
Hunt?
Yes.
Do you remember when he died?
Yes, when I was 12 in October.
So would that have been October 2000? Help me out with the math here.
12 or 14.
Sometime in that time frame?
Yeah.
When your father passed away, were Albert and your mom married?
Yes.
Do you know how your dad passed away?
Yes.
How did he die?
An overdose.
And when did you first learn that?
This past week.
What were you told how he died before?
That someone came in and robbed him and killed him.
And who told you that?
My mom.
Had she ever told you the truth as to how your dad died?
No.
How'd you learn about that then?
The internet.
This case has got an enormous amount of attention on social media and the internet. Is that right?
Yes.
And you have actually gotten a lot of attention on the internet because of this case. Is that right?
Yes.
Very difficult you being here right now, testifying in this court.
Yes.
Is Albert Stauch, do you see him in the courtroom?
I do.
Seated in the front row in the gallery here?
Yes.
When Albert and your mom got married, where were you living?
Myrtle Beach.
And how long had you lived there before you moved to another place? Do you remember?
I do not remember the exact time. No.
In the beginning of Albert's and your mom's marriage, was Albert Stauch going to training a lot, and was he away from the house quite a bit because of his job?
Yes.
And were there often times where it'd be just you and your mom in the house while Albert was out training?
Yes.
Were there other times where it'd be you, your mom, and Lena and Gannon?
Only when he was like at work for training, yeah.
How did your mom feel about, or do you know, did your mom ever talk to you about how she felt about Albert being gone all the time and being at training?
Yes. She wanted him to be home more, especially when we had the kids with us.
And did she tell you whether or not she liked being at home alone with the kids?
She did not, no.
At some point, did you move to Charleston, South Carolina?
Yes, we did.
Why did you move to Charleston, South Carolina?
For their job purposes.
Whose jobs?
Both my mom and Albert. My mom wanted to teach at a new school, and Albert was able to find like a job position there too.
And did your mom tell you why she wanted to teach at a new school?
Just to get away from Myrtle Beach.
Did your mom want to move frequently?
Yes.
Was that pretty constant throughout your relationship with her?
Yes.
And so, how long did you live in Charleston?
Not long, maybe a year, if that.
And where did you go from Charleston?
Back to Myrtle Beach.
And why did you go back to Myrtle Beach?
Because my mom didn't like being in Charleston.
And did she tell you that?
Yes.
And so, were you having to switch schools from Myrtle Beach to Charleston and then back to Myrtle Beach?
Yes, so I actually went back to school as well when we stayed in Charleston too.
And did you end up graduating from high school early?
I did, yes.
Tell the jury about that. How'd that happen?
I eventually, when we moved to Alaska, I did online school. So I did 2 years of that. So I ended up doing 3 years of high school.
So you graduated essentially from being in Alaska doing online studies?
Yes.
And we're going to get there in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Do you remember how long you lived in Myrtle Beach the second time?
No.
Did you know whether or not your mom and Al Stauch actually bought a house in Myrtle Beach?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
Once we moved back, they bought a house there that we had over a course of time, also when we lived in Alaska.
Okay. And was that the first home that was purchased between Al and your mom?
Yes, that was purchased.
And at some point, did Albert Stauch get orders to go to Alaska?
Yes.
Were you in the home at that time?
Yes.
The home that you purchased?
Yes.
Tell us, the jury, about that. What were the circumstances? What was the plan for you and your mother and the kids when Albert was sent to Alaska to be stationed there?
Yeah, so he was stationed there, and we still had our house in Myrtle Beach, and we would go back and forth from being in Alaska and Myrtle Beach.
And when you say we, who are we talking about?
Me and my mom.
Do you know where the kids were at this point in time?
Sometimes they would be with us in Alaska, and sometimes they would be back in Myrtle Beach with their mom.
And did you know their mother, Landon?
Yes.
Had you met her on occasion?
Yes.
And you see her in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Sitting in the second row back here?
Yes.
Was this in the time frame around 2017, 2018 when Albert was?
Harley Hunt giving information to this jury about her life with her mom and her stepfather, all leading up to what happened in 2022. Her stepbrother, Gannon, will get you back into the courtroom where we left off on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, all the biggest moments from week 1 of testimony in the Doomsday Cult Mom murder trial. You'll hear audio of another key witness for the state, Zulema Pastenis, Lori Vallow-Daybell's sister-in-law.
What did Lori tell you about where Tylee was?
She said she had to be free.
We'll bring in experts to weigh in as we get you ready for what's next.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8, 7 Central, only on Court TV.
Painter.
And I'm Matt Johnson. We're in Boise, Idaho, covering the murder trial for Lori Vallow-Daybell.
And this is Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Welcome back to Court TV. We are in Colorado this afternoon for the stepmother murder trial. Letecia Stauch is accused of stabbing and then shooting her 11-year-old stepson to death back in January of 2020. Stauch has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Right now on the stand is Harley Hunt, her adult daughter. We're going to get you back into the courtroom for more of her testimony. She was just starting to tell this jury about things that were happening in their home around 2017. The prosecution is eventually going to get up to 2020 when Gannon went missing.
And you said that you would go to Alaska on occasion and go back to Myrtle Beach. And you indicated it was you and your mom, right?
Correct.
How often would you guys go to Alaska?
We would stay in Alaska for like a month or so, and then we fly back to Myrtle Beach for a couple weeks and then fly back to Alaska.
Did you fully ever move to Alaska with your mother?
No.
And why is that?
Because we still had our house in Myrtle Beach, so we would go back and forth.
Did your mom ever talk to you about moving to Alaska?
What do you mean?
Well, did she ever tell you whether or not she liked being in Alaska?
Oh, she did not like being in Alaska, no.
And what did she tell you about that?
Because it was cold and she couldn't work there, and there was nothing to do.
At some point, were you up in Alaska with your mom and discussions were talked about moving to Colorado?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
I remember after like 3 or 4 years or so, Albert found out that he could move to Colorado and be stationed there. And we all were excited because it was better than being in Alaska.
Do you know whose idea that was?
My mom's.
And why do you say that?
Because there was an incident that happened in Alaska. I wasn't told much, but
Something that didn't want her or Albert to be in Alaska anymore?
Mm-hmm.
You have to say yes or no. I'm sorry.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. It's all right. And so talk about the move to Colorado. When this decision was made to go to Colorado, did you still have this house in Myrtle Beach?
We did at first, and then they sold the house. After it was sold, we drove everything to Colorado.
Did you have to fly back to Myrtle Beach and then drive across the country to Colorado?
Yes.
And was it Colorado Springs where you were going to?
Yes.
What was Albert doing as all this was happening? Do you know?
Don't remember.
Was he still in Alaska?
I don't remember. I don't know.
That's fine. Do you remember moving into the house 6627 Mandan Drive here in Colorado Springs?
Yes.
When you moved in, was Albert with you initially?
No.
Well, tell the jury about that. When did Albert come to Colorado Springs to live with you and your mother?
So when we got to Colorado after driving there, the kids came at some point, and then a couple weeks later, Albert came.
And would this have been early 2019
Yes.
timeframe? Now, how long did you live in that house before Gannon's death? Do you remember?
A year. We moved in January of 2019.
Was this year time frame the first time that all of you were together during Albert and your mom's marriage?
Yes.
And first extended time for a year?
Yes.
Had you had an opportunity to see Albert and your mom together on numerous occasions?
Yes.
What was their relationship like? And I'm talking about when you're in Colorado, 2019 on.
It started to feel like we were a family again because everybody was there and like we were together.
Did they ever argue?
Yes.
How often would they argue?
Often.
And how do you know they were arguing?
Because you could hear them arguing.
And what would you do when that would happen?
Anna or Lena would come ask me why they were arguing. So like they would just come to my room and I would turn the TV up or something because I didn't want them to have to listen to them argue.
Did you ever get pulled into these arguments?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
They would be arguing about something and then it would be like, well, isn't this true? Or like ask my opinion, try to get my say-so on it.
And who would ask you your opinion to get your say-so?
My mom.
Did you ever ask your mom and say, why do you pull me into these arguments to get my opinion?
Yeah, I just said, like, I don't want to be a part of this.
And what did she say in response to that?
Would just keep asking and then they would keep arguing.
I want to go forward to January of 2020 now, right? Well, let me go back to Christmas of 2019. Did Gannon and Lena, were they with their mom during the holiday period?
Yes, I believe we celebrated Christmas early with them.
Did they go back to South Carolina to be with their mom over the holidays?
Yes.
Did they eventually come back?
Yes.
And would that have been now January 2020 when they came back to the house?
Yes.
Now, was your mom working here in Colorado?
Yes.
Where was she working?
At a school.
Do you remember what school?
I don't remember the name of it, no.
French Elementary sound familiar?
Yes.
Was that the school she was working at?
Yes.
In January of 2020, do you know whether or not Albert and your mom were planning to go on a cruise to celebrate their anniversary?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
It was a couple-day cruise that they were planning to go on. That was towards the end of the month.
Okay. And did they go on a cruise?
They did, yes.
Where did they go on this cruise? Do you know?
No.
What was going to happen with you and Lena and Gannon while they were gone on the cruise?
She hired a babysitter.
And did you know this babysitter?
No.
We do have to fit in a break, but let's first bring in to discuss our guests who are following along, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Marie Pereira and forensic criminologist Laura Pettler. Marie, what's your take on Harley Hunt on the stand? I mean, your heart just breaks for anyone. Though she's 20 now, she was a child when all of this was going on back in 2020.
I think it's very heartbreaking as a mother, but strategically they put her on that stand so that she can be an indirect character witness with her testimony, really proving that this woman was incompetent as a parent. She was a hot mess, moving the kids around with a disregard for how it would impact them, pulling the kids into her arguments with her spouse. And it's really making her look like someone who has the character of someone who would murder a small boy, put him in a suitcase and dump him under a bridge, that she didn't care about the kids, even from when there weren't any issues. She was just making decisions that suited her, moving around, arguing in front of them. It was just terrible. And strategically, it's helping prosecution because you want to paint her as a person who's capable of committing this heinous crime, and it's doing just that.
Laura, Harley painted a picture when she talked about her two-step siblings, Gannon and Lena, who's the younger sister of Gannon, when she said her mother would be arguing with the stepfather, Albert, and she would turn up the sound on the television so that they wouldn't have to hear that arguing. But it seemed like she was very used to the way her mother was.
Yes, unfortunately, that appears to be the truth, and it's very clear that the mental health of this defendant is very centered on meeting her needs, no matter what that means, whether it means moving her kids all over the country, whether it means self-soothing, whether it means dragging people in so that she feels emboldened and empowered to make her points. I mean, it's just a very sad situation for this young woman to have to testify, and you can tell by the way she's testifying that she is emotionally, at least it appears to be, traumatized by what's happened in her life. And it's very sad to see her have to go through this.
It absolutely is. She sounds so young on the stand. We've hit the pause button. We're going to get you right back inside of that courtroom. Please stay with us. This is Court TV Live.
Quiet Colorado community rocked by a tragedy.
11-year-old Gannon Stauch disappeared from his home.
Gannon's stepmother, Letecia Stauch, is charged with his murder.
Stauch allegedly killed her stepson and then drove his body across the country.
Now the jury will decide her fate.
She has a tough road ahead.
As a family searches for justice.
She will pay 100% for this heinous thing she done.
The stepmother murder trial. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are following the stepmother murder trial out of Colorado Springs this afternoon. A citywide manhunt for 11-year-old Gannon Stauch transpired after his stepmom, Letecia, reported him missing to authorities in January of 2020. She had multiple stories about what happened to him, but 2 weeks later, the search would come to an abrupt halt when his body was found thousands of miles away in Florida. Now Letecia Stauch is pleading not guilty, but by reason of insanity to the murder of Gannon. She admits that she did it. Let's get you back into that courtroom where we left off, where Stauch's daughter is testifying about the weeks and days leading up to her stepbrother's disappearance.
And you were how old at the time?
17.
And had you watched the kids before?
Yes.
Had you watched the kids overnight before?
Yes.
How did that, did you ever ask your mom, why are you getting a babysitter? I'm here.
Yeah.
How did she respond to that?
I don't remember. I just remember being like really upset about it.
Do you remember this babysitter's name?
No.
Had you ever seen her before?
No.
Have you ever seen her after?
No.
When they get back from the cruise, how long were they gone? Do you remember?
I think it was the weekend.
So was it a 3-day weekend or a long weekend, or was it just Saturday, Sunday?
I don't remember exactly.
When they come back, how was Albert's and your mom's relationship at that time?
It seemed fine. I think his mom came to visit after that too.
When you say his mom, are you talking about Albert's mom?
Albert's mom, yes.
And how long did she stay?
Only a few days.
On January 25th of 2020, did Albert have to go to another training?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that. Do you know where he was going?
I think it was Oklahoma.
And do you know how long he was to be gone?
No.
Was it longer than a couple days?
Yes.
Was it longer than a week?
I don't know.
Okay, not a problem. So, do you remember when he actually left to go on that training?
You mean like the exact day or?
Yeah, if you do you know?
No, it was like close to the time that his mom came. It was like a couple days after, I think.
Did he leave with his mom when he went to the training?
I don't remember.
Why don't we do it this way? Do you remember January 26th of 2020?
Yes.
And was that the day that you were supposed to go on a hike with your mother, Gannon, and Lena?
Yes.
Did Albert leave the day before?
I don't remember.
Okay. I don't remember. That's fine. Was Albert Stauch there on the day that you were going to go on a hike?
No.
So was he in Oklahoma, on his way to Oklahoma, or do you know?
Yes.
You just don't know when he left.
Right.
Is that fair? All right. So January 26, 2020, that's a Sunday. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did you recall going to church with your mother and Gannon and Lena?
No, we did not.
And is that something you would remember if you did go to church that day?
Yes.
And on January 26, 2020, were you scheduled to go to work that day?
No, I was not scheduled.
Did you go to work that day?
Yes, I got called in.
And tell the jury about that. Where were you working and why did you get called in?
I was working at Massage Envy. And I think they were like short staffed or somebody called out. That's why I got called in.
And was that unusual?
No.
Would other employees get called in kind of last second if someone calls in sick, that kind of thing?
Yes.
And what Massage Envy were you working at back in January of 2020?
First in Maine.
Where is that within the city? Do you know?
It's near like shopping complexes. I don't remember exactly where it was or road names or anything.
Is it in the northern part of the city?
Yes.
Off of the Powers Drive over there? Okay. How long would it take you to get to work?
25, 30 minutes.
And you were living on kind of the south side of the city?
Right.
All right. So you go to work that day, so obviously you didn't get to go on the hike. Do you know whether or not your mom and Gannon and Lena went on a hike?
They did.
How do you know that?
She told me and I got sent pictures.
And whose idea was it to go on this hike? Do you remember?
No.
But it was a planned event where you were actually going to go on it as well?
Right.
Did your mom tell you anything about what had happened on the hike, in particular with Gannon, while they're out at the hike?
Yes. She said that he had used the bathroom like in his pants, so they had to leave, go home.
And how were you communicating with her?
Through text.
And do you know where they went to go on a hike?
I think it was Garden of the Gods, but I could be wrong. I don't remember.
Your Honor, may I approach a witness?
You may.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked at 2:05. Do you guys, I don't know who's doing. May I approach you?
You may. Go ahead.
I'm going to hand you People's Exhibit 205, which is a notebook. Recognize that notebook?
Yes.
Do you have an opportunity to look at that last night?
Yes.
And do you know what that notebook is?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's text messages between my mom and I.
And are those text messages between January 25th, 2020 at 3:42 p.m. all the way January 29th, 2020 to 4:27 p.m.?
Yes.
And does those text messages in that notebook accurately reflect the conversations that you were having with your mom via text messages during that time period?
Yes.
This time we'd move to admit People's Exhibit 205.
Okay. Exhibit 205 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Now, in People's Exhibit 205, we're going to publish that and go through them, okay, Ms. Hunt? Would that help you kind of establish a timeline as to when conversations are being made?
Yes.
You can go ahead and publish 205, please. And Ms. Hunt, you can either look at the notebook
Okay.
or the TV screen, whatever's easier for you. So on the first page, we see a text on January 25th at 9:09 p.m. Do you see that?
Yes.
And do you know what that's regarding?
Something about our dogs.
Now, for the jury's benefit, there's a blue bubble and a green bubble up on the screen. Who is the blue bubble referenced to? I
am the blue bubble.
So that's coming from your phone?
Yes.
And the green bubble?
From my mom.
And this, what we see on the screen behind us looks like a picture. See that?
Yes.
What is that picture of, you know?
Of one of our dogs.
And do you know why it says maybe Nicole there on the green bubble?
Do not.
But you know that's your mom's phone number, right?
Yes.
And so do you remember having this conversation with her back on the 25th?
Yes.
The next message says they are saying it may have been his daughters. Do you remember what that was a reference to?
No.
Is this about the same time when Kobe Bryant, the basketball player, died in a helicopter accident?
Yes.
We have reached the top of the hour, so we do have to squeeze in a break, but we will get you right back into that Colorado Springs courtroom for more testimony in the murder trial for Letecia Stauch. You are watching Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice.